You know, sometimes a single game can just reveal the future. And in this case, one rookie's unbelievable performance didn't just start a debate, it ignited a complete firestorm over the league's fundamental duty to its fans. So let's break down what happened.
It all kicked off right here. In a game against the Los Angeles Lakers, the Spurs rookie phenom Victor Wembanyama goes out and drops a staggering 40 points. I mean, that's a massive night for any player, let alone a rookie, but that number, it doesn't even begin to tell the whole story.
Because he did it in just 26 minutes of playing time. 40 points in 26 minutes. Think about that. That level of efficiency it's just almost unheard of. It shows you a player who isn't just scoring, but is completely overwhelming his opponents every single second he's on the floor.
And here's the part that should probably terrify the rest of the league. He wasn't even happy with it. Wembanyama himself said he wanted more, that in games like this, you have to be greedy. See, that's not just talent, right? That's a mindset. That's someone who is wired for absolute domination.
So a performance like that, with a mindset like that, yeah, of course the sports world was going to catch fire. It immediately raised this massive question that all the analysts couldn't wait to sink their teeth into.
And this was the central question. Not, is he gonna be great someday? Not, is he a future MVP? But is he, right now, the single most dominant force in professional basketball? That is a truly wild question to be asking about a rookie, but his play absolutely demanded it.
Okay, so the debate basically split right down the middle. On one side, you had the people arguing for his immediate impact. They're pointing to his two-way dominance, his unbelievable skill set for a guy who is 7'5", and this unique fear factor. But on the other side, you had analysts pumping the brakes, saying, hey, you can't compare him to all-time greats like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar yet. You know, he hasn't won in the playoffs, his team is still young.
And this quote from ESPN's Stephen A. Smith just cuts right to the heart of the floor argument. He basically said that bringing up historical players completely misses the point. The question was never about legacy. It's about who dominates the league today, right now.
So what is this fear factor they were talking about? Well, one analyst defined it perfectly. It's that moment when a player hits what he called turbo mode, where they become so physically and skillfully overwhelming that the other team is just completely helpless. And that's the feeling Wembanyama is already creating.
But just as this really fascinating debate about dominance was heating up, the whole conversation took this sudden, explosive turn. It pivoted from one player's greatness to a much, much angrier topic.
And there it is, the question that changed everything. Stephen A. Smith, looking at the team that Wembanyama had just dismantled, shifted his focus with pure, raw outrage. Why were none of the Lakers stars even on the court to try and face him?
And suddenly, the conversation wasn't about basketball strategy anymore. It was about something way more fundamental. The fans who spend their hard-earned money to come to the arena.
And let's be super clear here, we're not talking about just one player sitting out. The source material points out that key starters, including LeBron James and Austin Reeves, were on the bench. Fans paid to see the stars, and what they got was a shell of the real team.
The condemnation was brutal, and it was direct. The act of sitting so many stars for a home game was called disgraceful, insensitive, and dismissive. The whole argument was that this sends a terrible message to the people sitting in those seats.
And this one team's decision just blew the lid off a massive dilemma that the entire league is facing. This fundamental conflict between how the teams operate and what their fans actually expect.
So you've got this fundamental clash, right? From the team's perspective, it's just asset management. You have to protect your multi-million-dollar players for the long haul. But from the fans' perspective, it's a lot simpler. I paid for a ticket to see the stars, and they're not here. It just feels disrespectful. The real fear is that this practice, often called load management, does real long-term damage. It can cause fans, especially those who have followed the game for decades, to grow cynical and ultimately to resent the product they once loved so much. Which leaves us with the ultimate, unresolved question at the very heart of modern professional sports. Everyone agrees player health is important. Everyone agrees the fan experience is important. But in moments like these, where do you draw the line? And so, what started as a celebration of a rising superstar quickly became a cautionary tale. Wembanyama's sheer brilliance inadvertently shone a massive spotlight on the very fragile contract between a league, its players, and its audience.
It really leaves you wondering. We spend so much time debating who the next Michael Jordan or LeBron James is going to be, but maybe the more important question is this: When that next superstar arrives, what kind of relationship will the league they lead have with the fans who are its absolute lifeblood?